welcome to the Album Man. And today I'm carrying on my ever-going Beatles discography, which is, as usual is taking way too long. But anyway, we are at the Beatles' 4th studio album, and this is Beatles For Sale. And this was released only 5 months after the previous one, A Hard Day's Night. And unfortunately, let's just get started with this. I think it's probably the weakest album of their career, full stop, to be honest. I mean, it's really hard to blame them for this, as they were forced by the record company to get something out before Christmas of, I think, '64. And, I mean, they were just shattered after relentless touring. So now, we go back to the old format of half covers, half originals. So let's go through it, and I'll tell you why I think this is their weakest album. Okay, so as usual, the track listing is in the description below. And as usual, they kick off the album with a very strong song, No Reply, which is a surprisingly downbeat song actually for the Beatles, compared to their usual openings of exuberant, catchy pop songs like A Hard Day's Night on the last album. And this song, though, it's very well written and catchy, with Lennon's voice sounding really great, and the little hand clap section that was written by McCartney for the song really makes this a pretty good song, to be honest. And then I'm a Loser. This is kind of interesting because it very much has a Bob Dylan vibe to it, really. I mean, they had met him in the August of the same year, and this is an acoustic-based song, and Lennon tries to write some more interesting lyrics, but it still has that Beatles flair to it that makes it hellishly catchy, and I mean, the harmonica section particularly in this, it is so Dylan-esque. Though instead of copying Dylan as other artists have done, you know, this is the Beatles, so of course they've just taken a bit of inspiration, but still added their own sound to it, so yeah, it works well, and it's good. And yeah, it doesn't seem to be anything too bad so far. Well, this is where we start to go downhill. Babies in Black. Now, this is yet another more downbeat song. The first three are pretty down, to be honest. And this has some nice lead work from George. I mean, it's a pleasant little song. It's better than the other songs on the album. I mean, there's some really dodgy songs on this album, which we'll come to soon. But still, Babies in Black really is nothing great. And now Rock and Roll Music by Chuck Berry. Yes, the first cover on this album is definitely one of the best, if not the best cover. It's performed well, but the 50s rock and roll sound, though, you know, that's of course how the Beatles started, as a sort of, you know, playing covers of those type of songs. It really doesn't tie in with the first 3 songs preceding it, or the Lennon-McCartney songs we found on, like, A Hard Day's Night. And, yeah, I mean, as I say, it just doesn't really tie in with the sound the Beatles have established for themselves. It just sounds, you know, the Beatles had quite a unique sound for that era, and this doesn't sound unique at all. It sounds like any old rock and roll. I mean, yeah, I like Chuck Berry, but the Beatles, you know, didn't need to do it, did they? But time constraints, you know. Now I'll Follow the Sun. This is actually George Martin's favourite song on the album, and an old McCartney song he wrote when he was quite a bit younger that he dug out for this album. It's a nice under 2-minute song, and sounds fairly pretty, but I don't know. Just, again, nothing hugely spectacular or wonderful to it. It's just a alright song, really. But Mr. Moonlight, oh god, by Roy Lee Johnson. And yeah, sung by Lennon. It's a cover, and this one really does not do it for me. I find it pretty dull. This song just has really no interest for me. I don't think the original's that good, to be honest. I don't like Mr. Moonlight, and the Beatles don't do anything interesting with it, really, at all. And now we come to an odd little medley, because, you know, it's a medley that's 2.5 minutes long. And this is Kansas City / Hey 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 by Jerry Leiber, and Hey Hey Hey, all of it is by Mike Stoller and Richard Penniman, I think. And yeah, I mean, this makes the Beatles sound more like Howlin' Wolf than their usual style. This has a very simplistic classic blues chord progression to it, and the vocals by McCartney are nice, and I suppose so is the transition between the songs, but really George is the only one who sounds impressive, and this is a recurrent theme across the album. This really is nothing special. We've seen the Beatles do this type of thing before, on, like, with the Beatles, and I ain't impressed again, to be honest. It just doesn't suit them, you know. Leave it to Howlin' Wolf and they'll do a way better job, I'm afraid to say. But 8 Days a Week, the first song of side 2, definitely kicks that side off with a bang, and is a huge return to what I love about early Beatles. And interestingly, actually started to a fade in as opposed to a fade out, which a lot of pop songs at the time had. But really, this song is just a fantastically catchy song with an infectious chorus, even if it is much in the same vein as songs like Can't Buy Me Love. And well, it isn't revolutionary, it's just a really great Lennon McCartney song, and my favourite without a doubt from the album. Now, Words of Love by Buddy Holly. I like Buddy Holly. I'm not trying to diss him, but this song just feels like complete and utter filler. This version doesn't need to exist. I say it again, I don't blame the Beatles. It doesn't mean I like it. I'm going to move on. Unfortunately, I'm moving on to something even worse, which is Honey Donut. Oh dear God, is this not good? I usually look forward to the Ringo songs. Ringo used to be my favourite Beatle when I was younger, and I've always found his songs are pretty fun. But not when they're a cover of a Cole Perkins song. No, this song is just plain bad. And again, it's George that's the salvation of the song with his guitar playing. Well, I suppose Ringo's actually, he's kind of funny when he starts saying things like, "Rock on George" for Ringo, one more time. But still, I mean, this song drags, and it's only 2 minutes and 59 seconds. Yeah. Every Little Thing, I really don't know much to say about that. It's slightly better than the previous 2 songs, but just middle of the road. I Don't Want to Spoil the Party. This is more of a country vibe, oddly enough. It was actually charted. It got to #1 when it was covered by some country singer. And it's about Lennon talking about a girl standing him up at a party. And again, it's a pleasant little number, I suppose, you know, but... And then the last 2, which I talk about together, What You Doing, and the cover, Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. Now, the former is a pretty nice little song, this delightful little guitar melody, and even without chorus, this song, it really is quite wonderful. The latter cover, though, is a Cole freaking Perkins song, and sung by George, middle of the road, rock and roll, though George's voice sounds pretty good. As you can tell, this album, it just wasn't that fun to review, really. It's probably my least favourite album by the band. I really didn't find it all that impressive at all. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I mean, I've seen reviewers praise the living hell out of this. I've seen 10s and 9.5s of this album, but that's just because of the name. Really, this album does not hold up, I'm afraid. It really doesn't. But luckily, the next album for me is the eve of their creative peak. It's the thing that really puts together all the elements from these first 4 albums to really show the direction the Beatles were going, Rubber Soul and onwards. So next we'll be looking at Help, and yeah, that is definitely going to be a lot more enjoyable to review than this thing. This has been the Album Man. Thanks for watching, comment, subscribe, and as usual, long live rock and roll.